One thing I like to do kind of at the end of a tour is we've been through a lot of different blocks. We learned about different timings based on weed height, pre-programs, post-programs, tank mix partners. So when it gets right down to it, then it says, okay, I got a field I want to spray. And the question I ask is, should you spray or should you not spray? So I like to run through this example, and it's kind of interesting when people look at it, okay, now I got a real life scenario, should I be spraying that day or not? So what I do is I give 4 scenarios, the wind out of the north, south, east, and west, and kind of what the rules are, and can we or can we not spray. So let's start with the wind out of the south. So wind's out of the south blowing north. What you have, the teal blue are the E3 soybeans you'll be spraying with Enlist herbicides. You got tomatoes or grapes, which is what? A susceptible crop, susceptible plant. To the west. To the east, you just got corn, Roundup Ready, any kind of treated corn. And to the south, you got non-E3 soybeans. So let's say the wind is blowing out of the south towards the trees. I think, okay, can I spray that field? Can I spray it all? Can I spray none? Can I spray a portion of it? So remember, we learned about sensitive areas where there could be an endangered species. Trees would be that scenario. So if the wind is out of the south blowing towards the trees, we could spray that entire field except a 30-foot buffer along the edge of those trees, because the wind's blowing to a sensitive area. So we got to have that 30-foot buffer. 30 foot's about 12 30-inch rows, so 12 narrow rows. Okay. Let's say the wind is blowing out of the west, pretty normal direction, blowing towards corn. Can I spray or not spray? I could spray the whole works. And if that was a dicamba example with Xtend beans, I could also spray the whole works. Okay. What if the wind's out of the north blowing to the south? You got soybeans that do not have the Enlist trait. Could be a Liberty bean, Roundup bean, Xtend bean, conventional soybean, any kind of soybean like that. The wind's blowing towards it. If we're spraying Enlist, as long as you got the legal nozzles and you're under a 15-mile-an-hour wind, you could spray that entire field of soybeans because you're downwind of the sensitive area. Non-E3 beans are not susceptible, so you could spray that entire field. If that was a dicamba example with Xtend beans, could you spray? And the answer is no, because if it was non-Xtend beans downwind, that's considered susceptible to dicamba, so you could not spray it all in that field where we could spray the entire field. Sometimes you get an exact wind parallel to the neighboring field. Normally you don't have a straight wind out of the north or straight out of the south. But in this example, let's say you had a wind straight out of the north blowing to the south. You got to be a little bit cautious of parallel winds, we call them, because a parallel wind, they could shift a little. You know, you can have a straight wind out of the north, but it might go 5 or 10 degrees either way, kind of depending what time of day it is or just different gusts of wind. So if it's exactly straight out of one direction, parallel to a susceptible crop, then we'd probably caution not to spray, because you never know when that wind might shift just a little bit off kilter and get some of the other crops. Now if the wind's coming out of the east going to the west, and you got a vineyard, non-Enlist cotton, grapes, tomatoes, cucurbits, anything like that, if it's blowing towards them, those are susceptible crops. So then it's a do not spray. You would wait till the wind is coming from a different direction. And dicamba would be similar. So it's kind of nice to look at different scenarios. I like to pose this out to growers and applicators, because they're going to be making these decisions all through June and half of July. So at least they can get some different scenarios on whether they should spray or not spray.